Hello, my name is Blaire Register, and I am doing this presentation with Tyler. We are presenting Domain 4 on procurement, production, distribution, and service. So first, we're going to talk about production schedule. The production schedule is a plan used to project how the production budget will be spent. So this includes planning for materials, labor, and equipment needed for production. So the main purpose for this is to ensure your manufacturing process flows with maximum efficiency. Standardized recipes. These are important to consistently deliver the same quality and quantity of a product. They're really important in healthcare facilities to ensure nutrient contents are being met, especially protein. They include the recipe name, or however the recipe is being identified, whether it's by a recipe card number. It also is going to include the ingredients, weight and measurements, procedure, yield, serving size, and cost per serving. So what do you need to do before you can use them? You need to prepare the menu item using the quantity recipe and make any adjustments if needed to ensure a high quality product is being produced. And you want to be looking for appearance, texture, flavor, and overall acceptability just to make sure that this product is acceptable to serve to whoever you're serving. Quality control. So quality control is important to make sure that the product's quality is being maintained or improved. Methods are used to ensure customers do not get sick from their product. And what the problem can be with quality control is it does not prevent waste of resources when a product fails or if there's an issue with it. If you do not catch a quality control issue early, then you will potentially have a low quality product. And some food quality control procedures include only purchasing ingredients from approved suppliers, using a standardized recipe, implementing manufacturing procedures to ensure products stay within safe temperatures and proper equipment is being used. Also, practicing proper sanitation and then labeling products. Quantity control. So quantity control is used to guarantee that the products are being purchased, produced, and served in proper amounts. So this is important because it's going to help with controlling cost throughout the food service system as well as minimizing waste. Next, we're going to talk about number of ounces in a scoop. So converting a scoop size to ounces. So how you do this is by dividing the scoop number into 32. So for example, you would take 32 divided by scoop size number 6, and that equals around 5.3. So serving scoop size number 6 is going to be approximately 5 ounces. Same thing with scoop size number 8. To do how you figure out the amount of ounces is take 32 divided by 8, and that's going to be approximately 4 to 5 ounces. And same thing with all of the scoop size numbers.
Okay, now we're going to discuss some tools of production control. The Gantt progress chart is a non-mathematical graphic project management tool used for coordinating and organizing multiple tasks to complete a project efficiently. It assists a manager in planning a variety of related tasks or scheduling the duties of a group of employees who are performing the same task. It's more applicable for relatively simple planning tasks, and it's generally used during the course of a project to track progress of task completion. Here are some examples of the Gantt progress charts and the variations in format. Okay, the PERT chart, or the Program Evaluation and Review Technique, is another project management tool that is used to plan more complex projects. It helps a project manager to analyze the relationship and interdependencies among different tasks, gauge the minimum amount of time required to complete a project, and assess risks associated with the project. It is generally made prior to a project beginning. In the example, the nodes represented by the circles depict events or milestones throughout the project, and they are connected by vectors or lines that represent the various tasks that need to be completed. Next, we are going to discuss some qualitative methods to measure foods. Okay, the paired comparison test. It is used to indicate which of the two samples provided has more of the attribute being observed, or to indicate if the samples are different. An example would be if the panelists had to determine which of the two samples provided of soda was sweeter. The triangle test is used to determine whether noticeable sensory differences exist between two products. The test consists of 3 samples, 2 of which are identical and 1 that is different. However, the samples all appear to look exactly the same. Panelists must taste the 3 samples and indicate which sample they think is the odd one out. This test is usually performed by trained panelists. The ranking or scaling method is used to assess panelists' preferences between multiple samples based on favorability or a specific characteristic. Panelists evaluate and then rank a set of examples of samples. Some other subjective ways to measure food include the hedonic rating scale, which is used to measure food acceptability. Panelists are instructed to denote overall acceptance, like or dislike, of a sample. The hedonic scale is usually represented by face icons and ranges from a 3-point to a 9-point scale. The most common hedonic scale is the 9-point scale. This type of method is appropriate for use on children. The examples provided display hedonic scales that would be used with children and the other with adults. Paired preference is used to determine a panelist's preference between 2 samples or whether there is any preference. Panelists are to compare 2 products and choose the one they prefer. This is a useful method of testing consumer acceptability of new products. A ranking test. It is used to determine whether there is a difference between 3 or more samples regarding preference or a specified attribute. Panelists are instructed to rank the samples in order of acceptance or based on the relative presence of a trait. For instance, bitterness, freshness, saltiness, and aroma intensity. The examples provided depict one ranking test looking at an attribute, bitterness, and the other is focused on overall preference. The flavor profile method is usually used with a highly trained panel of 4 to 6 individuals who evaluate the sample individually and then determine the flavor profile of a food product through consensus. The 5 major components they address are character notes or attributes, intensity of attributes, order of appearance of those attributes, aftertaste, and amplitude. The initial rating scale for identifying attributes was 5 points, notably not present, threshold, slight, moderate, strong, and very strong, but has since adapted to more points to enable more differentiation. Following, we are going to discuss some objective ways to measure food. The penetrometer is a tool that measures the distance that a cone or rod attachment penetrates into food during a fixed time using gravitational force. It was developed to determine picking maturity, widely used for testing the firmness of produce such as apples, pears, kiwis, mango, and avocado. The depth of penetration is dependent upon the weight of the cone or rod, angle of entry, type of material, temperature, and penetration time. The experimental conditions should be consistent throughout, and if taking measurements from multiple areas of the fruit or vegetable, they should be averaged. The viscometer is an instrument used to measure the viscosity or consistency of a fluid. Viscosity is defined as a fluid's internal friction or resistance to flow. The viscometer is used during the production process of food and beverages as a quality indicator. When there is a change in a material's property, such as density, this affects how a liquid flows or the viscosity, indicating that the quality has been altered. The test conditions should be highly controlled since temperature affects viscosity of some substances. Viscometers are used in the production of chocolate, baked goods, dressing and sauces, starches and gums, jams and syrups, molasses and honeys, margarines and shortenings, among others. The rotational viscometer is just one type of viscometer. It measures the torque, energy, or work required to work an immersed cylindrical or disc spindle in a fluid and measures the resistance of the material to the stirring action of the spindle. The line spread test is used to measure the flow distance of a thickened fluid across a flat surface. In order to do so, the sample is placed in a cylinder centered on a clear plastic surface marked with concentric circles. The cylinder is lifted and the sample is allowed to flow for a measured amount of time. The flow distance or spread is calculated by averaging the readings at the 4 quadrants of the flow sheet. It is a good tool for assessing the consistency of thickened liquids given to dysphagia patients. Lastly, specific gravity is defined as the ratio of a substance's weight or density as compared to the density of a standard substance. The standard substance is usually water. The specific gravity value may vary depending on the conditions. Temperature must be specified, and the specific gravity generally increases with the amount of solids present, for example sugar, and decreases with the amount of alcohol and fat present. Applications include converting the volume of liquid ingredients to gram weight for nutrition information and obtaining information about the concentration of solutions. Additionally, the specific gravity of potato tubers is an important quality criterion for processing potatoes. The goal is to produce potatoes with a high specific gravity. This means that there is a higher content of solid or dry matter and a lower content of water